So we've got Mr. Jones. Are we able to make him the largest person? Yes, pin him. Perfect. All right. Mr. Jones, I'm going to place you under oath.
Please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Cash, C-A-S-H, Jones, J-O-N-E-S.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Arnold, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Jones, what was the amount that you paid for the bail bond premium in this case?
$112,000. It was 15% of whatever the $750 was.
Okay,
$112,000 and some odd dollars.
$500, is that correct?
112.5. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you paid that out of your business?
Yes, sir.
And what's your business name, sir?
100 Entertainment.
And you're the sole owner of that business, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that business is a business license to do business in the state of Nevada.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you had that business?
Roughly 8 years, maybe.
And again, you used the proceeds from that business and you provided us with the documents showing that those amounts were taken from your business account. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Mr. Davis, sir?
I know him through passing. I know his son. I know him. We sat down, we talked a few times. In general, about personal things. He was having this bout with cancer, and personal things, industry stuff. Just regular conversation. He's always been a monumental guy in our community. Conversation. So and I've helped several people in our community, whether it was funerals, whether it was for bail. In this situation, I know his cancer has been, I don't know if it's come out of remission, but within speaking with his son, I know he's having an issue in there, so I lent a helping hand.
We appreciate that, sir. Sir, are you deriving any benefit financially from Mr. Davis's release?
I know I'm not.
All right, I have no further questions, John.
State cross-examination.
Yes, do you need me to stand at the podium because of the blue jeans aspect, or sir, you're in the entertainment business, is that right?
That's one of my businesses, yes.
Sure. And you also go by the moniker Wack 100?
Yes, I do.
And one of the things that you do is manage some artists like The Game and Blueface, etc.
Yes.
And where do you live?
I have a residence in California. I have multiple residences in California, Oklahoma, as well as New Jersey and New York.
Okay. And is it fair to say that the last 4 digits of your phone number are 6979?
6979.
Okay. All right. I want to turn your attention. We were provided a letter by Mr. Arnold that said that you had known Mr. Davis and his family for many years. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, they're a pillar of our community, especially the urban community.
Well, I think let me clarify. You said, I have been a good friend of Mr. Davis and his family for many years. Is that right?
Well, I know his sister. I know him. I know his son.
When did you first meet Mr. Davis?
Oh. In passing, maybe about, 8 years ago, maybe.
When did you become good friends with Mr. Davis?
Good friends with a lot of people.
I'm sorry, when did you become good friends with Mr. Davis?
The day I met him, the day we shook hands, you know, we come from our upbringing, we come from the opposite side of the track. So, in my travels over the last 25 years, of coming from the gang life and making my exit from being a gang banger, anybody that I meet that's willing to sit down with me and be cordial and be respectful, I'm going to consider a good friend.
All right, and so the other thing you say in the letter that Mr. Arnold provided to us is that the money is a gift and Mr. Davis is not obligated to repay. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. Do you have any contract between you and Mr. Davis?
Not as of yet.
Okay. Do you have any financial agreement with Mr. Davis?
Not as of yet.
Do you have any financial agreement with his son?
No, I don't. I've offered him to come work for me. That's what he wanted to do, to try to get him out the streets.
Now, so are there any stipulations that you have with Mr. Davis in order to put up this money for him?
Well, my stipulation with the bail bond, but I definitely wanted him to be on house arrest to protect myself.
Now, have you ever said you were thinking about getting Mr. Davis out with the stipulation that you do a series with him?
We've had talks and conversations just about what would be a series, as a the BMF series, and just in question, in general conversation, talking about his life story. But I'm not in TV land, I'm in music. I don't do TV.
Okay.
I've never done a television show or any of that. I do music streaming, diapers, stuff like that.
Okay, so I just want to be very clear about this. Have you ever stated that you planned on getting Mr. Davis out as long as he did a stipulation with you to do a television series with you?
Oh, I have said this story would be a very interesting story. As if Orlando Anderson's story would be a very interesting story. As if the BMS story, as if my story. We talk about it, everybody talks about it, but again, that's not my lane. If that's what he chooses to do, then that's what he chooses to do. That's not what I do.
And you had mentioned earlier, you had agreed with me earlier that the last 4 digits of your phone number were 6979, correct?
6979, yes.
And you've had at least one conversation with Mr. Davis via jail calls, is that correct?
One call, yes. I spoke with him one time.
And as part of that time, you asked Mr. Davis whether or not he had signed the contract, is that right?
Yes, I did.
What contract was that?
His life rights contract. Somebody told me he had did a life rights deal, and I was asking him why didn't they come assist him.
And so you didn't ask him to send you his waiver of his life rights to you, have you?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, again, that's not my lane. That's not what I do. I do music.
And I'm gonna have to play some exhibits later, Your Honor. But in terms of if someone were to say that this money put up is not entirely for you, would that be the truth or a lie?
Say it again?
If someone were to say that the money provided here to bail Mr. Davis out is not from you, would that be the truth or a lie?
Be a lie.
Okay. If someone,
I didn't send the money. Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Saying I'm not the one providing the funds?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a lie.
If someone said you are being used as a front, would that be the truth or a lie?
That would be a lie.
If someone says you are a middleman in this transaction, would that be a truth or a lie?
That would be a lie.
If somebody said that there's a movie company putting up the money for you, would that be the truth or a lie?
What company?
A movie company.
No, that would be a lie.
Okay. So your testimony is you're not a middleman.
I'm not a what?
A middleman.
No, I have no contracts with any movie companies. I've never had a contract with a movie company. I've never done television. It's not my thing. I'm actually moving out of entertainment into the diaper business. I have a company called Incredible Diapers. I have contracts in Congo, Nigeria, Amazon, Walmart, and Clothing. So I'm really moving away from entertainment. These are things I can provide documents, MOUs, contracts for.
No, and I appreciate that, Mr. Jones. Your Honor, I think I'm going to have, I don't know how mechanically we want to do this. I have a video featuring Mr. Jones talking about the stipulations that he would require.
Let's do the interview.
Yes. And then I also have a couple of jail calls talking about signing a contract with Mr.
You just play them, and then they will play both from your computer, and they will play through the speakers.
I think for this witness in particular,
Have you ever met Keefe D?
I'm going to stop it
You
for
know
a
the person?
second.
Yeah.
Do you want to authenticate that with them?
it's going to be
Live TV interview.
Yeah, so you agree that you did a Vlad TV interview, is that right?
I work for Vlad. I'm contracted to go to Vlad. I go there like every 2-3 months.
In fact, you did one about a month ago, is that right?
1 or 2 ago, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and I think Mr.
About
Arnold,
about 2-3 months, 2-3 months ago.
I think Mr. Arnold will stipulate that the person depicted as Wack 100 is Mr. Jones.
Right.
Okay. All right, so I think we have foundation for the Vlad interview for 21. You may play it.
His lawyer did an interview recently and said Keefe D is a liar. He made up all this stuff just to make some money from people like, me for interviews and to get out of a serious drug case. He was never in Las Vegas. All this is fake. And he's not connected to Tupac's murder at all. Yeah, I believe him. You believe him? Do I believe him? That's up to law enforcement. That's I'm not gonna say. That's up to law enforcement. Be home in the next 5 to think about going to bed now. You gonna bail out Keefe D? Yeah, it's only 75. Well, cause the blade are, well, I make 750. 750, so you got to put 75. Yeah, I was thinking about going to get him, and put the stipulations that I do the series on it. People are watching. Yeah.
Mr. Jones, did you hear that interview?
That's the interview.
Yeah, and it's fair to say that.
Do you understand, Brian?
Wait, sir. You can answer my questions. I'm sure Mr. Arnold has questions for you. You can answer those as well. So it's fair to say that you said you would bail Mr. Davis out as long as he follows some stipulations, correct?
Well, it's just entertainment with Vlad. You think it's
Sir, my question my question simply requires a yes or no answer. Did you say that you would bail out Mr. Davis, assuming he follows some stipulations?
With Vlad, me and Vlad discussed that.
Okay,
We was gonna say that. We discussed what we're gonna do before we interview. Now everybody knows that about Vlad.
And in fact, you said that you would bail him out in return for an agreement to do a series on Mr. Davis's life, correct?
That's what I said to Vlad, but Keefe D is already involved with somebody. With that, I believe, with his book. I have no contracts with him or no dealings with him on that.
Okay, so you're saying what you said on there is just not true.
We have, before you go on Vlad, you have a discussion about what you're going to talk about, what needs to be said so we can drive the views. There's nothing about Vlad or nothing about YouTube that says that we're being truthful about what we're saying. We're entertaining. I'm just, being truthful with you. I do a lot of interviews. I do interviews every week on No Jumper, and we sit there and we BS about things and we exaggerate things or we make up things. It's a view thing. They pay you for that.
Okay, so you are exaggerating or not telling the truth when you're on Vlad TV.
I mean, you see the number I gave wasn't accurate. If I was gonna, that's what the conversation was, I would have gave you the accurate number if that's what it was.
All right, Your Honor, at this point, I would like to publish a jail call between Mr. Davis and Mr. Jones. This is from, sorry. In order to protect Mr. Jones' privacy, I've just It's just the last four digits are 697.
No. Oh, excuse me. My last four is 6979. He's never called me direct. Somebody's always called me for him.
So we agree your last four are 697, correct?
Don't know. My last four or three, what did we say? Because my last three is 979.
Yes, we agree with that. I'm going to publish a call between Mr. Davis and Mr. Jones.
Okay.
What up, man? Okay, hold. Yeah, I can help you out of I'm gonna get murdered. But now, I've been on the board, yeah, that's playing last week. With the coach, I said, yo, coach, your dad didn't get him, stop playing. Yeah, I've been doing all my due diligence. I've been setting things up so we can get right to it. You know, once you come home, you know, niggas got to string the things out. You know what I'm saying? If that give us time to set up, because my family didn't fuck the movie shit, take too long, we can do that later. Let's be serious. You know what I'm saying? We got like 30, 40, we got like at least 30, 40 different episodes with like 3, 4 scenes. You know, let's start with you. As a youth, you know, the teenage years, show, you know, the garage, local TV. No, it's cool. We can fucking finish. I'm telling you what my idea is, right? And, you know, we can get these first 10 episodes done. We got like 10 folks and like, hey, get out doing that. Because we hate that. And when we got tied to some names, so we can make sure we perform. You gotta remember, so this shit can set you up for the rest of your life. Even after you do what you do, it's a life of business. This got throughout the whole world forever. So, you know, let me tie in to these big wigs while they got pumped up and amped up and to, you know, attach the right names to it. And then, you know, at the end of the day, we got the book. The book is pretty much our guide. We turned that into script, TV script form to let us run out the back up. Probably could turn the first 10, get that first 10 done by the time, you know, the culture season starts. When we do that, or around that, we good. Say again? Yeah, but now this ain't even about no views. This is about, so we don't do the same number 15 years being arrested as power. Yeah, we ain't fuck on you going, yeah, I know that, because you got ED story, you got Lady Lane story, your story, Summer Day, Kitty, Jeff Rowe shit, you got all kinds of shit up in there, so we got at least 30, 40 episodes. I'm doing my due diligence. None of the little people want to tell you they scared, so I had to reach out in it and call my people. They ready, they called in there. If they did, I submitted your wife's address because I guess the DA said they want a house arrest you, which is like they get group face the same way. So and they got to register the address. Yeah, they got to register the address. So I said that over there. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm just waiting on a knucklehead. Yeah, I told you that, man. Listen, I'm in conflict. Fuck all that. They're supposed to go get the caddy out. The guy's in there. That's all they go. You know what I'm saying? I can't be no more holy than you. 60 years old, everything's different. That shit ain't what it was. Great. Listen, man, I got all the people that own on my head. I've been on getting ass. Every day asking. I've been on these niggas. Yeah, I've been on my nigga. Listen, I know what it is. Well, somebody tell them hopefully they don't come get it. And every day, got this progress. Every day, you should be doing something that moved up
Mr. Davis is part of that conversation, is hard to hear, so I can provide a copy to the court. The court wants to hear, but particularly the last end, they're talking about whether or not Mr. Davis has signed the contract, and Mr. Davis confirms that he has signed the contract.
I'm going to also have you provide a disc of all of your exhibits to the.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Signed the contract before you raided my house, all that stuff.
Okay.
State has another exhibit to play,
Are there
but,
any questions you wanted to ask?
but nothing for Mr. Jones.
Okay, anything further for Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Arnold, any questions you want to ask Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Jones, do you remember the conversation that you had with, Mr. Davis by jail phone?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell us in regards to the conversation, generally, what were you all discussing?
Well, the Bosman was having a troubling time getting a hold of the wife. And unless they had a home he can go to for house arrest, they wasn't moving. I also had discussed with Keefe D that in fact he'll get read his book, right? And that upon him coming home, if he comes home, we can go over his book and some things that could be done, and we'll do those things. At the time, everybody has to realize is that I wasn't given any instructions on, I couldn't have an open conversation with him. Open conversation is open conversation. Something that hasn't been done is something that hasn't been done.
Okay. And in that jail phone call, it talks about something about a contract. Did you and Keefe D have any contract?
What it was Keefe D had a vehicle, a very known vehicle, that I was trying to get to, and it's on the East Coast. There was some titling problems. I found the owner of the vehicle. That guy told me what I needed to do if I wanted to obtain this vehicle. So our conversation is all over the place in there. At the end of the day, I don't do television. Is it something that I may look into one day? Possibly. I have artists that have a history. But as of today, right now, as we sit, I have no contract with him. I have no television deal with any network. I'm a business guy, so of course it was a thought. But a thought versus being with the legitimate businesses is two different things.
Do you have anything in writing that states that you will derive any benefit from Keefe D's release and his story?
No, I don't.
It sounds like eventually you and Keefe D may sit down and have a conversation. Was that the intent of that discussion?
That's exactly what it is. I can plant a seed. I planted seeds. It took 10 years to grow. But positioning yourself for the near future, that's how I conduct my business. What it is today, there's no business today.
Right. And then in regards to the conversation that you had with Vlad, who's Vlad?
Vlad is a podcast guy. He's a blogger. We all are bloggers. I blog every week. I blog every Thursday on Little Jumper. And it's a shame that the world takes what we blog about as if it's real. Like it's things that were about me on the internet, down to fights that's not me fighting, and they say it's me. So, at the end of the day, it's astounding to me that a blog could be admitted in court when it's just that. It's just entertainment.
Well, I think
Playing a role.
I think the purpose of them introducing it into evidence was that the statement in regards to stipulations, if he was to receive $75,000, which was not the bail amount, what were those stipulations? Prior to your interview with Vlad, did you have any stipulations that you had entered into with Mr. Davis?
I hadn't even talked to Mr. Davis. So again, it was just a blog and interview that I had. I hadn't spoken to him since he had been arrested. So it was just me talking. He asked a question, I built on the question. When you gotta sit there 2-3 hours, you stretch a conversation, you say whatever you gotta do to keep the back and forth going on. That's what it is, no more, no less. And at the end of the day, maybe these people should start telling us you're under oath about everything you're about to say, because before we go in the room, they say, hey, let's go in here for the show. And that's what we do.
One last question. I believe it was in the Vlad interview, and additionally, you may mention it today. Did you become aware of Mr. Davis signing some life rights away in regards to his story?
Individuals told me this. I don't know if it's true or not. Somebody had told me, I guess, whoever he did the book with, I believe the book's been published for, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. I couldn't tell you. I had anything to do with it, but they had told me maybe whoever had something to do with the book had something to do with it. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it.
So you haven't seen any documentation in regards to Mr. Davis signing his life rights away, but you were made aware of that prior to going ahead and giving up this bail money. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And again, you're giving up this bail money in a hope that maybe you can have a sit-down conversation with him and discuss a series or something like this.
When it's all said and done, because the outcome of the situation is really what's going to dictate it. You know what I mean? I believe Mr. Davis is innocent, but if the outcome of the situation shows something any different, and then he's confined, and he is guilty of what they say he's guilty of, then it changes the whole scenario. But if the man is innocent, then, why not? And at that point in time, there's no stipulations on it.
And so when you say the outcome of the situation, if you had any deal with Mr. Davis, this would be a deal that would be done after the completion of the trial.
But it would have to be. It couldn't go no other way. Couldn't go any other way, because if he's guilty, then it's like he's going to be looked upon a certain way. If he's innocent, as I think he is, as I know him to be, understanding the case, and he'll be looked at a total different way. And then, yeah, he deserves the right to have somebody that will do some business with him.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Anything further to say? Mr. Jones, I'm just really confused. What is this contract for? Obviously, there's a contract that you guys are talking about. Obviously, there's a contract based not only on your Vlad interview, but based on the jail call. So what is the contract for?
What contract are you referring to?
The contract that you're talking to him about.
2 or 3 months ago, I hadn't even spoken to Mr. Davis.
Okay, so what is the contract that you and Mr. Davis are talking about? What's it for?
The possibility of, upon his completion of trial, right? And yeah, we could talk about doing some television or doing something like that, but as of right now, there's no business, there's no nothing. Hopefully, I don't know him to be guilty. I mean, innocent. I don't know him to be guilty. I mean, the people that we know that committed this crime are no longer with us. I come from that. So, at the end of the day, I just think he has a better shot of representing himself, walking into the courtroom in a suit and tie and being healthy. The man has cancer, 60 years old, cancer, and I know this to be true. So that's just really my disposition. If he was come out innocent, like everybody else that has came out innocent and did something after the fact, so be it. At that point in time, he's not under any stipulations, nor would I be. But at this present time, I guess you could say, maybe I got faith in this. I got faith in the man. I've been in these courtrooms before, bailing out other people. It's not the first time I posted bail for somebody out of Nevada court or California court.
All right. Nothing further. Mr. Arnold, is there anything else you wanted to present?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Jones, you can, if you want, you can stay on and see what happens, but you're not under oath anymore. You don't need to answer any more questions. State, did you want to present any more evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. We have a recorded jail visit between the defendant and Ms. Clemens, where
Who's Ms. Clemens?
His wife.
Okay.
Where, I'd asked Mr. Jones whether or not he was a middleman or a front, somebody else putting up the money for him. And in that visit, precisely what Mr. Davis says is that Mr. Jones is a middleman, that the money's not from him,
Okay.
that there's somebody from the movie putting it up. All right. This visit is from June 14th, 2024.
Excuse me now.
Hold on. You have your chance, Mr. Davis.
I'll obviously submit all
We're
these.
to the state's presentation. So are you asking to reserve to something for rebuttal? Or?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
So again, as the court asks, I will submit all these exhibits to the court. But in the file of the visitation, I'm going to start at about, for brevity's sake, I'm going to start around like 9 minutes and 30 seconds.
The man name was Al, he's a buildsman, and he said that they said that I live there, Well, Cass ain't got no damn money, just a man. Listen. Let me finish this. Do it.
So that's just 2 minutes, Your Honor. I think that, without belaboring it, there's more conversation along those lines. I can submit the whole 45 minutes to the court, but the essence of that, and I don't know if it came as clear, but it is Cash and Mr. Jones. First name is Cash. Cash doesn't have the money to get me out. Cash doesn't have the money. And using Mr. Davis's words, the Jewish man that owns the effing movie company, he's the one putting it out. You think he, meaning Cash, got that money to put up for me? He don't, Paula. He don't got that money. They just using him as a front. He goes on to say a couple of disparaging things about Mr. Jones after that, but not particularly relevant to this proceeding. That's the state's presentation.
All right. Mr. Arnold, is there anything else you wanted to address at this time? I think your client just want to speak to you.
Yes, Your Honor. I just have some questions to Mr. Jones that I'd like to clarify that conversation, but if I can speak to him real quick.
Who do you want to talk to? Mr. Davis?
First to Mr. Davis, and then I'll
Okay,
ask the
all right.
questions.
I'll call a couple matters and let you talk to Mr. Davis, then we'll recall it as soon as you get those answers. All right, who wants to be called? Any quick matters?
Because we're really in a hurry.
Oh, I think Mr. Weinstock beat you to it, but
He's got a bigger smile. He can go first.
I'm quick, Your Honor.
Just outright. I've never seen such a thing.
Mr. Hunter's present in custody. This is on for trial setting. We have Ms. Mercer from the state. Would you guys discuss trial dates?
Not necessarily. It's a one act for whatever opinions the state gave to the board for the ordinary court. Probably next year.
You don't really have to, on the homicide, but there is an ordinary course as soon as this happens.
Well, I do.
August 12th, and then it goes into November, and after that, January dates.
It would have to be sometime next year for us, Your Honor.
January 27th, does that work?
Yes, that should be fine.
All right, we're gonna do January 27th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m., or at 9 a.m., sorry, counter call of January 21st, also at 9 a.m. And then we'll do a status check to make sure you've got all the discovery, you're progressing well with everything in 90 days, that'd be okay.
That'll be September 24th at 9 a.m. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay,
Thank you, Your Honor.
we'll see you back that time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Judge, good morning. We're ready on Don Juan and Gray, please.
Do I have Mr. Singer?
Mr. Singer's been appointed counsel's office, took a month.
Yeah, if I were here.
Apparently, there was some mix-up with who got appointed or something like that. It's supposed to put the SPC
Can you
first.
approach? Yes, let's just do that. Hold on. Ms. Dunlop, there's just some confusion about your attorney, because you guys are involved, and because it looks like Mr. Vanderbeek is indicating that he's gonna be ready to go on the 8th, we have a vote setting. I'm actually just gonna pass this over for a special set on Thursday, which is gonna be the 27th at 9 a.m. That'll be just this case, both Ms. Don Juan and Ms. Gray. I'll talk to Ms. Bush to see what's going on with your attorney, and so hopefully we can maintain the date that we currently have, because you guys are involved and want to respect that. Okay? All right, so continue till Thursday. We'll see everyone back at that time.
I'll be here, Judge. Thank you.
Did anyone else have anything real quick they wanted to say?
Your Honor,
Mrs.
I have no jury plea.
You have a plea?
Yes.
Okay. I think I need somebody to stand in, correct?
Correct.
Okay, perfect, you're here on this one. All right, let's call Candeleria, page 12C380240.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ashley Select President on behalf of Mr. Candelaria, who is present in custody at this time. Your Honor should have a filed guilty plea agreement.
Go ahead and state the negotiations for the record.
Your Honor, today Mr. Candelaria is prepared to plead guilty to 1 count of murder and the second degree use of a deadly weapon. The parties agreed to recommend 15 to life as the aggregate sentence on that charge.
Is that all correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Candelaria, is that your understanding of the negotiations? What is your true and full name?
Elijah Robert Candelaria,
How old are you, sir?
18.
How far did you go in school?
11th grade, like the beginning of 11th grade.
But you didn't finish?
No, I'm doing school here.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you read, write, and understand English?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medication today?
I'm not.
Do you understand that you are being charged with second-degree murder, in this case, with use of a deadly weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to that charge? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Is anybody forcing you to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Are you pleading guilty of your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that the penalty for second-degree murder is either 10 to 25 years in prison or 10 to life? You know those are the two available penalties for that charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that the deadly weapon enhancement carries a mandatory consecutive 1 to 20-year sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that at the end of the day, sentencing is strictly up to the court or myself, so that nobody can promise you probation, leniency, or special treatment in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
You got that? Okay. And I do have a copy of your guilty plea agreement. In this case, it looks like on page 6 you signed this document. Did you sign it?
Yeah.
Was that after you talked to your attorney about the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go over the entire document with your attorney before you signed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she answer all your questions before you signed off on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Course removal.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Did anyone force or threaten you in any way to make you sign off on this deal?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that you're giving up the constitutional rights that are listed in this document by pleading guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to go over any of those constitutional rights? Do you have any questions about them?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea could result in negative immigration consequences to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you discuss your case and your rights with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any question about your case or your rights for me?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The amended indictment reads as follows. On or about December 13th, 2023, you did willfully, unlawfully, feloniously, and with malice of forethought kill Noe Lopez Garcia, a human being, with use of a deadly weapon, to wit, a knife, and or an unknown bladed object, by stabbing Noe Lopez Garcia in the face and or neck with said knife and or unknown bladed object, that killing having been either willful, deliberate, and premeditated, and or committed during the perpetration or attempted perpetration of a burglary and or robbery, and or committed after lying in wait. Are those the facts that cause you to plead guilty today, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I find there is a factual basis for this plea and it is freely and voluntarily entered. At this time, we will refer the case to the Department of Parole and Probation for preparation of a PSI and set it down for sentencing on the following date.
That'll be August 6th at 9 a.m.
All right. We're also going to
Your Honor.
vacate the calendar column.
I have the jurisdiction on August.
Did you want to move it 1 week back?
1 week back would be great.
So that'll be,
That'll be July 30th at 9 a.m.
oh, I meant the other way. Oh, sorry.
August 13th at 9 a.m.
Okay. Does that work?
Thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right. We'll see everyone back for that date. Calendar call of 7-9 and jury trial of 7-15 are vacated. We'll see you back for sentencing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody for a road viewing?
All right. They're going to download some? Okay. Ms. Mercer, do you have anything from Mr. Ewing on this matter, or are we still waiting for him?
I just have a text message and I have it on my phone.
Okay. Let us know. There's just, some special combinations we have to make for that one. Are we ready to recall Mr. Davis's matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Recalling Duane Davis, page 16, C377407. Mr. Davis is still present with Mr. Arnold, and we have Mr. Giacomo and Mr. Kowal back. Mr. Arnold, how do you want to proceed with this time?
You probably have to put Mr. Davis under oath. I just want to answer some specific questions in regards to what we just heard.
Okay.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Duane Keefe Davis,
Could you spell it?
D-A-V-I-S.
And D.
Duane, D-U-A-N-E.
D-U-A-N-E? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Arnold can ask questions of Mr. Davis.
And Mr. Davis, you heard the conversation between your wife and you while you were in custody?
Yes, sir.
And when did that conversation happen?
This happened, I think the day of my birthday, June 14th.
At that point, was the bond posted?
No, sir.
What was the reason that your wife came down to have that discussion with you in regards to Mr. Jones and the cash
She said,
bond?
she said, I'm not signing no papers for, what's her name, no, I don't like that.
And when she said that she didn't like him, who was she referring to?
Cass Jones, because her family has problems with it. I don't have problems. And she was like, you're talking that sellout, and that's what she said. And I was just telling her to throw her the fuck off, get her off my, excuse my friend, get her off my back. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to look like no wuss for her or her family, you know. And I'm selling out.
Let me ask a question. Did you think at that time in the bond process that your wife's signature was necessary for you to be released?
Yes, sir.
And so in the effort to convince her to go ahead and get her signature, what did you tell her in regards to Mr. Jones?
I said, he don't have nobody like that to put up. It's the Jewish people, it's the Dutch people, just so she can sign the fucking bond and leave, you know, leave that as is. She was saying I was a sellout. They played the whole tape.
Did you come to find out that you did not need her signature to enter into the bond process?
I found out just following Wednesday when he came up here and seen me.
And so any conversation that you had with your wife at that time was in an effort just to get her to comply with the bond process?
That's right. I wanted to go on because I got cancer, and I just called it back. In here eating y'all processed food. You know, I had colon cancer right here. And it's down in the wood to this side. Behind this processed food in there. They don't sell no fruit. They don't, it's just terrible. Fake potatoes, fake milk, fake everything. It ain't good for an ex-cancer patient. Now I got it again. They took me to the hospital, UMC, on the 5th of May. He came up to my cell and said, Mr. Davis, hurry up and get dressed. You need emergency surgery. So I went over there. They did all the CAT scans and stuff. And they referred me to my cancer doctor. So I went and seen him on the 8th of May. And he said, I'll get you to do a colonoscopy in a week, CAT scan in 2 weeks, a PET scan in 3 weeks. They haven't came here to do nothing. I'm in a life situation, and I will say anything to save my life.
So if there's issues with not getting that medical care and there's an order that you need or anything, we will sign that. There's no issues with that. What are you trying to get at with this information, Mr. Arnold?
No, he provided everything that we needed at this point, Your Honor.
Any cross-examination on these very limited issues?
Very limited. Sir, so my understanding of your testimony is that you thought you needed Ms. Clemens' signature in order to get out of custody.
Yes, sir.
And in order to facilitate that, you lied to her.
Yes.
You may, you're not under oath anymore. Mr. Arnold, did you want to talk to Mr. Jones any further, or are you good?
Mr. Davis? Oh, Mr. Jones? No, I'm good with everything.
Okay, let's, I guess, argument?
Sure.
Unless you have anything further to present.
Nothing further, Your
This
Honor.
has been a very unorthodox hearing, so I'm giving everybody an opportunity to be heard. Go ahead. Mr. Arnold, your argument regarding whether you've met your standard under the source hearing.
Your Honor, nothing has been provided to show that Mr. Jones, the person that is putting up the amount of cash bail, is going to derive from this story. There's a hope at some point and at some time that he will derive from it, but there's no contract signed between him and Mr. Davis. The state hasn't produced any contract showing that. Additionally, the state is trying to say from Mr. Davis's own mouth that Mr. Jones is just a middleman. However, again, he had this conversation with his wife, as he explained, in an effort just to convince her to go ahead and sign whatever paperwork at that time that he was under the impression that she needed to sign. As he stated, in reference to myself, there was no paperwork that she needed to sign to proceed with the deal. No one at this juncture is deriving any financial benefit from his release. I'm sure there's hopes. To be honest, Your Honor, I get the calls almost every other day in regards to, some kind of series or something that somebody wants to produce. We haven't agreed to anything. We haven't signed anything. We have a trial to prepare for. I need Mr. Davis out so I can prepare for that trial, and we can go ahead and be ready in November.
Steve?
Yes, Your Honor. I think what we've learned today is that Mr. Jones is not credible when he says that he has no financial interest in Mr. Davis retelling the crimes that he committed upon his release. The statement that he provided to the court, that his attorney provided to me, that this is a gift, is clearly not true. I mean, it's just out and out false. The interview he gave on Vlad TV says, I expect some stipulations. I want to have a television series out of this. So Mr. Jones's response is actually kind of similar to Mr. Davis's response when it comes to this case. Don't believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. It's just entertainment. It becomes even more problematic, though, when he has that same conversation with Mr. Davis on jail. Literally nobody to perform for. He's literally saying, hey, did you sign the contract? And this notion that this is some kind of hope after trial is belied by the actual jail call. What the jail call actually says is Mr. Jones says, we need to get some episodes in before you go to trial. We need to get 10 episodes done before you go to trial. And let's be honest, I mean, the only reason why Mr. Davis is of note at all is because of his self-proclaimed role in the murder of Tupac Shakur. That is his notoriety. And Your Honor, I think the other thing that we can drive a couple other things from the prison visit, which is either A, jail visit. Either A, he's telling the truth and Mr. Jones is upfront, or B, he's lying and he admitted he would say anything to include lie in order to get out of custody. Lastly, Your Honor, I was, the one advantage of having cameras in this case is that I'm able to review this court's rulings before coming to court. And
You can always review them.
Yes, that's fair.
We always have, yes. I'm not hiding it.
Yeah, no, but I get it in HD. And so what I heard this court say is that this court wanted a detention order. And this court specifically was concerned about the defendant's repeated insistence that he committed these crimes. And that this court found that while his criminal past may be somewhat removed, concerns still arose, including the FBI having to move a witness, about Mr. Davis's future safety, which is the reason why the court set the bail at $750,000. So let's just assume, A, it's a gift. That doesn't allay the court's concerns. How could found money without any consequence of losing it affect Mr. Davis at all? If he's being told by some benefactor, just for out of goodwill, I'm letting you out, go out, there's no consequence to Mr. Davis. It doesn't have the prescribed deterrence that this court's detention order had. Let's say, which I think the evidence clearly leads to, that this is him getting paid from his retelling of his criminal past. Well, I mean, pursuant to NRS 441B200, a killer cannot profit from their crimes. And what is even worse about this particular instance is that there'd be no way for the estate to recover these funds. Because Mr. Davis is getting a benefit from having, retelling his story of killing Mr. Shakur. As a result, Mr. Jones, in order to benefit from that, is paying the bail bond company $112,000, right? The purpose of the statute in the statutory scheme in NRS 41B is that an estate should be able to recover the proceeds of somebody who is benefiting from the telling of their crime. Here, there's no way for the estate to recover these funds. They're going straight from Mr. Jones to the court. Lastly, I think what is abundantly clear from this thing, even though it's convoluted, is that a fraud is being perpetrated on us, one way or the other. I think if the court had an opportunity to question Mr. Jones, see what he said on Vlad TV, see what he said on jail call, see what Mr. Davis said in the privacy of that jail call. I don't think this court can have any faith that this surety, the source of this surety, is legal in the sense that it is for the benefits, the illegal benefits of profiting from his or her crime. And then two, I don't think this court can even have any faith as to what this actual nature of this thing is.
After this hearing, I'm left with more questions than answers. Ultimately, there's a question that was raised regarding where the funds actually came from by Mr. Davis himself. I don't have the bank records or anything to show that it was posted by a different source besides the word of Mr. Jones, who's contradicted by his own previous statements on other matters. Ultimately, I do see there was collateral posted, but I don't really see where the actual $112,500 came from with what's been provided for me. I also don't find that the defense has met the burden of any sort of burden for the Nebula type hearing to show that the bail is not connected to Mr. Davis ultimately talking about Mr. Shakur's murder. And any evidence to the contrary, it is not credible. And so at this point, I don't find that you have met your burden. And so if you want, you can present additional evidence at some point if you want to have a further hearing, or I can void the bail, and so that would go back to Mr. Jones. So
Them bank statements.
I don't have them.
The bail bondman is here. He's on the Zoom. I had to give up 6 months of bank statements.
We did send those over to the court, Your Honor. You didn't have them.
Showing you what I have.
It's going to show you that whatever you told us tonight, you that's the exaggerated fact.
Mr. Jones, hold on.
I also turned in one of my properties.
Mr. Jones, hold on. We also sent the bank records.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
You guys have
Do you have bank records?
Yes, Mr. Arnold provided 6 months of banking records.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm the bail agent. On this matter, I could testify if necessary on regards to the source of the funds.
All right, I'll review the bank records additionally, and then ultimately issue a minute order regarding the bank records if that satisfies my first concern. I don't know that it will necessarily satisfy my second concern, but I'll address it all in the minute order, okay? All right, it'll be under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What do that mean?
Mr. Arnold can explain it to you. Ultimately, I have to review more documents to determine if that shows what Mr. Jones says it shows. Page 8, Kevin Perez Stubbs, C378339.